And it's that in any lexical tree, no category on any level can contain more than 2 to the 6th n members. In other words, 64. So, in a way, we're dimensionally imprisoned inside this because our minds work this way and so do our bodies. DNA, like the I Ching, runs on a code based on 64. There are 64 codons coding for the various amino acids that make up all the proteins that organize organic nature. Well, so you have the I Ching, which categorizes time as having 64 categories. You have the DNA, which arose as the most elegant expression of complexity in time, having running on 64 categories. Then you have the human brain running on the platform of animal organization run by DNA, and we discover through Worf's law, the 2 to the 6th n rule, that our lexical categories are ruled by these same limitations. So it appears, what I said earlier this morning, that life is undergoing some kind of conquest of geometry. And I almost picture it like protoplasm flowing into a crystal landscape. We conquer this geometry by assuming its shape in some sense. So it transforms us even as we overrun it. Well, I wrote a book called The Archaic Revival, where the idea there is that we are discomforted. Civilization has made us uncomfortable with our humanness because these various technologies and phonetic alphabets and things like that have rearranged our sensory ratios from what they were in Paleolithic times. And that, in a sense, what psychedelics do is they hit your reset button. They address the animal body. They address a deeper level than cultural conditioning. And so you feel and experience these atavistic images and feelings that civilization has repressed or transmuted in you. And the whole premise of that book was that the 20th century, in many of its cultural manifestations, from Cubism to Dada, abstract expressionism, jazz, sexual permissiveness, hallucinogenic drugs, youth culture, a whole bunch of things, were all impulses toward the primitive, toward a return to a primal state of social organization, and that really this is the overarching metaphor of the 20th century. The 19th century saw the triumph of hierarchical order, gentlemanly values, class structure, all that constipated European stuff. And then the 20th century is experienced as chaos, Cubism is created when Picasso brings African masks to Paris and begins painting them. Freud announces that we are not just Christian ladies and gentlemen, but right beneath the surface, the incest drive, cannibalistic drives, extremely violent, primitive impulses are there. Jazz introduces syncopation into music. Women begin to display more of their animal nature through flapper dancing. I don't know. You can figure it all out for yourself. The point is, the whole of the 20th century is a turning back toward these values that had been repressed for millennia, not only by Christianity, but by the Greek scientific philosophy, the phonetic alphabet, urbanism, agriculture itself. There was a very long period in the human adventure when all of those things lay in our future, and we were far happier, I think, then, judging by our lack of need to make egoistic statements by building vast religious monuments or enslaving each other or setting down codes of laws, so forth and so on. And of course we'll never be like that again, but there is an impulse in modern society to recapture those values, and psychedelics are hugely effective at doing this. I mean, all this talk of shamanism and Native Americanism and getting in touch with your body and honoring gender shifts and all of this stuff is basically rooted in a more psychedelic attitude, a less categorical and constipated and print-defined, McLuhan would say, attitude toward social roles and social polity. Well, it's always interesting to me to do these around in the circle things. First of all, it seems to me, I mean, maybe this is self-congratulatory, but it seems to me that people are extraordinarily serious and together. I have a real nose for nuttiness, and I didn't so much as twitch this evening. And this is a large group, so don't loosen your chains too much, but congratulations for impressing me anyway as very sane. This is an area where I think sanity counts. There's no points gained for being fanatical or maniacal. This isn't an area where you have to push the process. The process can push you harder and faster than you may wish. So it's once you get to this place on what we might metaphorically call your spiritual quest, once you get to the place where you hear about psychedelics, the issue is no longer then about where is the gas pedal and the spiritual vehicle. The issue suddenly becomes where is the brake? Because, this is the fuel to go where you want to go. This is the power to lift you where you want to be lifted. Those issues are somehow now overcome. It becomes a very different game now, a much subtler game. The doorway stands open, and all it requires is courage, which is not to say it doesn't require a lot. It does require a lot, but what it is courage. Very few people go to the ashram for their daily meditation with their knees knocking in terror over what is about to sweep over them. They are pretty confident that they've got it confined and nailed down. It isn't so with this. I mean, I've done it many times. There are many people here who've done it many times, and the survivors are not confident. It doesn't build hubris in you. It doesn't promote bravado, because you know how quickly and horrifyingly it can cut you down to size if you presume it, or if you presume you understand it, or if you presume to use it. So sometimes the issue of magic and power comes up. I wouldn't get near that. My goal is to see more, to understand more. And what I do on a trip is damn near absolutely nothing. I have 2 or 3 J's rolled in front of me. If I can get through them in the course of the evening, all goals have been met. To see, to understand, to remember, it's an incredible statement about our humanness. It's a double-edged statement about our humanness, that within us, under the influence of these plants, we have literally Niagaras of alien beauty. I mean, when I go to Manhattan, I go to the Met and the Guggenheim, and I haunt the galleries of Soho. When I take mushrooms, I see more art in 20 minutes of behind the eyelids hallucination in total darkness than the human race seems to have produced in the last 1,000 years.